And we're live everywhere. So, welcome, Michael Wagner. Thank you so much for being here to answer all our questions. We're all gamers, we are all interested in cryptocurrencies. Most of us are Star Atlas poster holders. And we're very, very excited to have you here because you can answer some more advanced questions because we've all watched your previous AMAs, we've all read the documentation, the white paper, and we're all very, very excited and looking forward to playing from the minigame to the actual game when it comes out.
Awesome, man. Yeah, it's great to be here. Sincerely appreciate it. Really love all of the support out there. I see some familiar names and faces in the audience. So great to have you all back, and yeah, just looking forward to getting into it and answering your guys' questions.
So I'll start with a few personal questions that go directly to you.
Okay.
Watching your interview with Anatoly, the co-founder of Solana, you said that you entered in crypto in the end of 2013. What were the conditions? Because if I remember correctly, that was kind of a market top.
It definitely was. So yeah, I mean, it pretty much immediately preceded the collapse of Mount Gox. I actually had a little bit of Bitcoin, not a ton, but a little bit of Bitcoin that I lost during the Mount Gox collapse. I had invested a significant amount of capital for myself at the time into mining equipment. So this was just purchasing a lot of computer hardware and specifically purchasing. I think I had something like 30 to 35 GPUs running it at any given point in time, and I had custom fabricated all of these mining rigs to be able to mine script coins, and then some of the new algorithms were coming out, like I want to say Ketchak came out while I was mining back in 2013, 2014, and so it wasn't great from an investment standpoint. I wasn't really able to capitalize on the equipment that I had purchased, but the upside was that it really captivated my interest and demonstrated to me the potential of the technology and this industry, and I've been hooked ever since. And so, arguably, if despite that, the fact that I caught the tail end of a bull cycle, without that attracting my attention, Star Atlas might not be here today. Multi-chain Ventures, Tokes might not be here today. So I think that these market cycles are really beneficial to attracting new users. Despite the fact that there's always these scams that are perpetuated during bull cycles because it's kind of easy to prey on people's natural greed, and just desire to win, desire to make money. But it's because of these cycles where people see the massive gain potential and the massive returns that others are earning, that they start to get more interested and start to actually do some research and investigation into what is possible in cryptocurrencies. So, yeah, the volatility hurts at times. It sucks to get in at the top of a previous cycle and have to ride it out, or potentially exit at a loss. But those people that stick around are the ones that are rewarded. And so, yeah, I mean, that's an extended answer to your question, but ultimately, I think that these market cycles are really favorable for attracting new people. I happened to get in at what was not a favorable time in 2013, but I'm here today. I've ridden it out, and there's a lot of great things to come.
Definitely, your love for computers. Like we listened about your Lanarchists crew. Do you keep in touch with
Yeah.
them?
I do. Yeah. I still hang out with quite a few of them. We don't LAN anymore, but but we do keep in touch.
Beautiful. Of course, if you didn't have your passion for video games, your passion for cryptocurrencies, being a CFA level 1 certified financial analyst, right?
I've actually
All these
completed all.
combinations make you
I've
like
completed. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, sorry, continue.
Yeah, no, I've completed all three of the. There's three exams
Oh, you've
that you have
done
to.
level 3. Wow, man. Amazing,
Yes,
amazing.
yeah, I'm an official charter holder. It's doesn't carry much weight or significance in the crypto space, but for anyone who's familiar with institutional wealth management or investment and securities analysis, or ultimately what the CFA charter delivers is a tool set to analyze the intrinsic value of assets or intrinsic value of securities. So it does prove useful in my day-to-day work. In even in our efforts in determining valuation or pricing of the NFTs that we're going to be issuing, you can imagine the models that we're using and creating right now are largely going to be derived from the potential return value or cash flows driven through the NFTs that people actually own. So we're using some of these more conventional financial models to help drive the pricing and valuation of our NFT assets.
Level 3, very impressive, and of course it's going to be useful even if it's not directly. I also started from a similar path. I tried the level 1, but I got hooked into crypto. It didn't make any sense for me since I was not continuing the investment bank path.
It's funny, man. I mean, it almost feels like it was worthless to pursue at times, but the the knowledge is there, the credibility is there. And the reality is, if I had gotten into crypto any sooner, or if I had started my CFA any later, I would not have completed it. But the fact of the matter is, I started pursuing the CFA before I discovered crypto. Fun story though. I guess funny story is that during one of my exams, this was in like 2014, and this is right at the time that Monero was launched. I'm trying to recall what it was originally. It started as something else, but Monero came out in 2014. We had actually engaged with a guy by the name of Wolf Zero. He's kind of notorious on Bitcoin Talk forums, but we had engaged with him to customize a miner for us because he was competent in working in assembly language. So he was able to create additional efficiency in the crypto miner for Monero. And the end result was that we had a miner that was twice as efficient or could compute twice as many hashes as the nearest public miner. And we also had access to significant cloud mining resources through AWS. We would spin up, and we as this group of kind of friends that were all into crypto back then, but we would spin up 5,000 plus servers with this more efficient miner, and we'd be dominating the Monero network, and it was really profitable time. But I was so kind of engaged in what was going on in Monero that I slept in the day that I was supposed to go take my CFA exam. And for anyone out there that isn't aware, these exams are only available one day every year. And so if you miss the exam, you have to wait until the next year to make an attempt to retake it. And this is after like hundreds of hours of studying. And so
I can imagine because maybe people don't know, getting to level 3 CFA is thousands of hours. It's an insane achievement. It's a career changing. It's a life achievement. It's something you put on your business card and you're proud forever. For those that don't know how big it is.
Yeah, thanks, man. Thanks. Yeah, I don't think too many people recognize the designation, especially in this space, in tech or in crypto or blockchain. But like you said, it's an immense amount of effort and studying and dedication. You essentially just give up your life for 3 years to get through this thing. But it's so I missed the exam though the one day, and I was just
that's insane.
So
that's
involved.
Crazy.
So involved in crypto, I totally missed it. But anyway, I went on to complete it nevertheless.
It was Bytecoin, the coin before Monero, and it was called BitMonero, the first fork of Monero.
BitMonero, that's right. Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Did you play any World of Warcraft? I'm pretty sure you did.
Oh, I did, for sure. I mean, I think I got out of it way sooner than. I mean, I know people are still playing now, and the WoW Classic is out. I haven't played WoW in many years now, but yeah, I played it when it first came out.
I wish I could sell my Spectral Tiger NFT that goes for tens of thousands of dollars on Amazon, but I can't.
Right. and thus is one of the foundational principles of launching Star Atlas is that we believe the player should be able to capture that value and should truly own the assets that they've earned over time through gameplay. So I don't need to shill the crowd here. I'm sure everybody is aligned with our thinking on that. But we are gamers, right? I mean, I've spent thousands and thousands of hours in MMOs over my lifetime, and for the most part, have, you get the entertainment value out of it, but there's no way to extract the asset value. So, yeah, we really do believe that we're going to be transforming the gaming landscape and creating a new paradigm for game development studios going into the future.
100%. Like I know it from like experience. I have my slash played on World of Warcraft is what 1,100 days.
Wow.
It's a number that I don't want to look very often.
Wow, man.
I have quit playing this game for the past like 4 or 5 years, but still I remember everything clearly. So yes, that's why I see the value in Star Atlas, and what Star Atlas is doing is going to be game changing. Being able to capitalize in all these work hours spent in a game is really, pun intended, game changing.
Right. It's funny the way these MMOs have a way of pulling us back though with nostalgia. Like what I can there have been several MMOs. Asheron's Call in particular, which was one of the earliest that I played. It came out about the same time as EverQuest, and it wasn't as popular of a title as EverQuest, but we've honestly had friends that have spun up servers and we've started playing again. It didn't ever last that long, but just for these nostalgia purposes to like start playing something that you hadn't played in 10 years. And we've had some fun with it, but games
Man, yeah, for sure, for sure. These first evenings when you sit down with your friends to play, it's the nostalgia hits you hard. You
it
broke
does.
down there for a second. We can't hear you.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah, perfectly, perfect.
Okay.
So, since there's going to be a tie between the player and his assets, and he will own these assets, for someone to actually start playing when the game comes out, does he need to pass some kind of KYC? Will it require him to prove he's of a certain age that can legally own these assets?
Yeah, we don't have any intention for that at this time. So our corporate structure is primarily international, and we want to make sure that we're complying with regulations and with laws, but we don't have any intention to implement age restrictions or requirements. We are trying to develop the game to be, I guess I would say, all age friendly, but kind of see how that evolves over time. And yes, we don't have any intention of implementing KYC requirements to play.
Beautiful, that's even better. The bigger the player base, the better. And when the user is playing, like I'm playing the game, I've played Star Citizen, I've played EVE Online, I've played so many MMOs. Am I going to interact with the Solana blockchain? Do I need to know that there is a Solana blockchain, that my assets are transferable? If I'm not interested at all, I just want to play the game, do I need to learn all these things?
You don't need to know that it's the Solana blockchain. You'll need very little fundamental knowledge of how blockchain or cryptocurrency works. There will be some learning curve necessities for people that are going to be establishing their own crypto wallets. Now we have a couple of options that we can take for kind of non-self-custodied asset management for the users. We have a good relationship with Kanan at Stardust, and I don't know if people are familiar with them. I think their website's stardust.gg, but they're kind of creating a back-end user management platform with a whole suite of tools for developers such as ourselves, as well as a whole suite of tools for users just to create convenience. And we need to kind of reconnect with them. You just reminded me, but we can either run the path of everything is kind of custodied on the Star Atlas platform, maybe with support of entity like Stardust, or the user can 100% self-custody all of their assets if they're comfortable with that. Now, obviously, our push would be for everybody to self-custody assets, not your keys, not your crypto, right?
Yeah, you're one of us, man. Clearly, I can. Everything you've said so far, definitely not your keys, not your assets.
Exactly, right? So, and that's, we want everybody to have true ownership over their assets. That's really one of the key points here. And so while it's feasible for us to create some form of a custody platform where we can manage the keys for the users, that's not our preference. Now, there might be some transitionary period, and it might be a long time where there's a necessity for us to manage the keys for all of these new users, all of these people that are new to crypto. And so if that's the route we have to go, then that's the route we have to go. But I am actually really excited about the extent to which we're delivering game mechanics entirely on chain right now. The mini game that's coming up, in the next couple of months is going to exist almost entirely on chain, which is to say we don't have any back end, private servers in the cloud that we're running to host game logic. Everything is being executed on chain. So, more direct to your question, the user will need to know only a little bit about crypto. We'll be educating them along the way to ensure that they can make the most and take advantage of all of the features that this decentralized tech offers in true asset ownership and self-custody. But then we'll be supporting those users along the way as well to make sure we don't, create unnecessary friction in the process.
Great, which kind of means that some player can start with zero investment, doesn't need to put any money, he can use the farm and then maybe borrow some assets and then maybe earn money in game and go on from there. He doesn't need to start with a base amount. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Well, so there is going to be some minimum, and I hate to use the term investment, right? But there is some minimum purchase requirement. You have to at least own some asset in the game to be able to monetize your time in the game. Now, in the future, as we continue to evolve the metaverse out, it would be completely feasible for someone to enter into the game with an avatar that is not paid for. Now, they'll be restricted to that central space station of the faction they select. And it's it's possible that in walking around in the town, they can complete some small jobs either as missions or alternatively they can actually pick up tasks or do jobs for other players through some type of job listing board, and in so doing they're able to make some money which they can then invest into game assets. But through the mini game, the only way that you can really monetize time is to actually own some asset. Now we'll have ships that start, priced as low as say $5. I want to say we're still determining the exact pricing of everything, but as low as $5. So between $5 and $20, you can get the asset that you need or assets that you need to get into the game to start playing. And if you want to grind from there, what we anticipate is that people that are investing smaller amounts are going to take all of the returns and reinvest that back into more game assets or improvements or upgrades, which ultimately will improve their earning potential over time. So it's I would say it's not accurate to say that you can get into the game completely for free, but the cost of entry is as low as say $5.
And is there a base game? Is the game free to play, or I need to buy the base game and then actually buy the asset required or the assets I choose to buy, and I can go on, or just the price of entering is the asset?
Yeah, that's a great question. The game is free to play, free to access. Anybody can access it. It is just the cost of purchasing assets, which the way that it's really important to frame this in that this is different from the way conventional games work, because when you're purchasing an asset, that's not an incurred expense, right? It's not money that has gone just to us and is gone forever for you. The difference is between an expense or owning an asset. So the player always has that optionality later. If they spend $100 on a ship, they have the optionality later to turn around and sell that ship and kind of recapture the amount of money that they invested into the game. In no other game in history, at least as a AAA title from a mainstream studio, have you been able to purchase the title and then effectively sell an asset back and get your money back out of it, right?
Never heard of it. Yeah, it's completely new. And while the first part where you said that it's a free-to-play game and the player can get in, will stay in the central hub of the faction they choose, and then he will do small tasks. We've seen this in many different games as the free free-to-play part of the game. So that's not new. So people are going to be very familiar with this kind of setup.
Yeah, perfect. I mean, we want it to be accessible to everyone. So we will have some very highly priced items, but we're also going to have, moderately and low priced items so that anybody can at least get access to the game. And if it's your desire to, work your way up through grinding and gameplay, and reinvesting those earnings back into bigger and better assets in the future, then that optionality will exist for you. And the last thing I would point out is that we really don't want this to be a pay to win game. So we're carefully balancing the game such that simply coming in with more capital doesn't guarantee a win. Right now, naturally, if you have a Titan class ship and you're fighting like a capital ship or a small class ship, then the Titan ship is going to win. That's the way it should function. But it's not going to be feasible for someone simply to come in and buy their way to the top and just dominate the entire game landscape.
Great, man. Coming from a gamer means you understand exactly where the problems lie when you don't just spend money for cosmetics and you can just purchase little pockets of power. It can be dangerous for the economy of the game. It can be dangerous for the pay to win to turn into a pay to win for the player base, everything. So I really hope you get the balance correctly, and I wish you should take your time to get this correctly. It's the most important thing.
So yeah, I mean, I love that you say that, and uh, we are focused on delivering the best product, right? So we've kind of delayed our launch by 2 weeks so far, which is really insignificant, but nevertheless, it's time that we want to utilize to ensure that we can create the best economy in the game and the best game balance. And we'll openly admit that this is going to be an iterative process. We most likely are not going to get it right on the first time around, right? And it's going to be through gameplay and community feedback that we're able to modify and evolve the game going forward to ensure that we do attain that balance. But it's just going to be most likely through trial and error, and that's really the way most games work. And as long as we're evolving and we're making the adaptations necessary, then we're going to get to a point where the game is really well polished, and really well balanced. But it will take a lot of those users out there in the early days just to experiment with us.
Makes sense, makes sense. We've seen this in countless games. The economies need to be readjusted, the inflation rates, the sinks where the money goes in order not to go get overinflation in the economy. It's a game's economy is usually as important as the game when it comes to an MMO RPG. Would you characterize the game as a sandbox game since you can do all these different things?
Not immediately, but the kind of sandbox concept is where we'll be evolving to as we start to expand the metaverse into the future. And what that means is essentially our game will become a tool set for the creative mind. And whether you want to be an entrepreneur or if you're an artist and you want to create skins or any form of user generated content that can be sold or distributed or monetized within the game. But ultimately, as we get into the future, and this might be 10 years down the line, I can't speak with confidence right now, but when we get to the point where we're essentially turning the Star Atlas metaverse over to the world for the community to manage through decentralization and through the implementation of Polis, our DAO token. When we get to that point, then anybody will be able to create content. Anybody will be able to come up with ideas or just be industrious and entrepreneurial within the game. And the benefit is that this creates a positive feedback loop and a circular economic cycle such that it's actually self-perpetuating. This is super important because in the beginning, we are providing the subsidy through Atlas token, and Atlas token will continue to be distributed in the future. But however, that distribution is going to be fueled by inflation. That's not sustainable. We all know that that's not sustainable. So it's pivotal that we provide people with the opportunity to create new value and add that value into the metaverse and then find some unique method of extracting that value from other players. And it doesn't have to come through any of our gameplay mechanics, right? It doesn't have to come from ship missions or flying around exploring space or, attacking environmental characters, PvE. It doesn't have to come from the ore that's extracted from land. It doesn't have to come from the way that people interact with space stations. These economic policies can be driven by P2P, peer-to-peer value exchange, as opposed to the mechanics that we've introduced to the game. So it's going to be many years, but yes, in the future, the idea is that anybody can build within and around and expand the metaverse that is Star Atlas.
Many years in this type of games is the normal thing. I mean, what we're waiting for Star Citizen 7 years, and we're still in alpha.
Yeah.
I totally get it. So it's perfectly fine with me. So
yeah, I mean,
you're saying that sorry, go.
Yeah, just a quick comment on that. We are actually confident in our ability to deliver on a more expedited timeline because of our engine selection. First of all, everything has been very fortuitous timing for us, but Unreal Engine, we just got the kind of early access, I think three weeks ago now, and we've already been playing around with it. And the feature set and technology that's available through Unreal Engine 5 is just incredible. So that's going to help us deliver the game environment, the 3D game environment, more rapidly than what Star Citizen did, which was develop out their own game engine and then build on top of it. And that set them back years as a starting point. So we don't have that obstacle. And the other thing that I think is going to be super powerful is just the collective contribution potential that we're proposing, which is to say that when we enable this player-created content aspect, other people will be able to create modules or experiences for the game and within the game that adds value to the game. And yes, like we're perfectly comfortable with them doing that. We're not protective of the Star Atlas brand. We want people to build these experiences around it. And it's perfectly reasonable for them to monetize the fact that they developed that experience. And so, through the power of people all over the world contributing to the game, we essentially have all of the labor ever necessary to create the final product. So I think that that's super powerful and should not be underestimated.
Yeah, and by choosing Unreal Engine 5, it's such a new engine, which means you're gonna keep the game polished, and it will be able to compete with new titles for a much longer time. You'll never need to change, or never, maybe in 15, 20, 30 years, change the engine and start building again, like many games have gone through that idea.
Yeah, 100%, man, 100%.
Since it's a space game, though, is there any aspect of it that's procedurally generated?
That's the idea, is that we really don't want any outer bounds of the universe. Now, where I have to caveat that is that we will be balancing out the scale of the universe with the number of players, at least to the extent that assets like land exist. So while it's feasible for us to say there's no outer bounds, we do have to carefully control the asset issuance so that we don't encounter or experience hyperinflation within the game, right? So if you were to go to what would be the outer boundary of the universe and continue exploring outward, that would be possible, but you're not going to discover anything, right? So that's the part that we need to figure out. Because we want to execute is procedurally generated, and where anything you see you can travel to, but we have to restrict the asset issuance so that we maintain that scarcity of assets based on the player base. And what we'll do over time is use metrics such as total GDP of the economy, our best estimates of how many users are actually playing the game, daily and monthly active users, and kind of growth in asset purchases over time, which is far simpler to monitor because we have all of the underlying data. But we'll utilize that information to determine when do new assets get issued by us as an entity, And naturally, this kind of the second component of that is how do we utilize the proceeds of those assets to continue building the game. But I feel like I'm rambling here, but the point is,
I
the
get
point
exactly.
is to balance the amount of assets that exist within the universe with the size of the universe based on how many people are actually engaged in playing the game.
Yeah, it's great to have. Otherwise, everybody's going to be so far from each other that it will make no sense. I have a question from Albilbo, who's actually watching us, and he's asking if we can have several commanders within the same account, where the commanders are specialized in different areas of the game, but yeah, we can swap between our characters exactly like we do in other MMO.
Yeah, absolutely. The idea right now is that you won't be able to control a fleet of ships. You'll be able to control a single ship at a time, but you can possess a fleet of ships in your hangar, and you can choose which ship you want to fly and which crew members or which characters and which avatars you want to use to pilot those ships. So yes, that should be completely possible.
So for us, that we are really expecting the game, and we're going to be one of the first people to actually join and start playing. Will we find like an open territory where we can just go place our flags, have an easy way to capture land to rule, and then the second wave of players or the next coming players will have a much harder time to exercise control over these areas? Are we going to be fortunate if we actually be fast?
Unlikely. Pretty much all of the land in the game, well, all of the land right now, as it's scoped out, is going to be available for sale. So it would be possible for you to discover areas on the map that might have favorable ore deposits, and so the return potential of that land is better. And that's the variability. That's kind of the randomness, and the benefit of being early is you're going to be able to discover these areas in space that are not captured yet. And if it looks like an attractive piece of land to you because you think that it will generate a greater return, then you can place a claim stake and you can claim that territory. But you still have to purchase the claim stake, which is kind of scalable to the size of the land and the materials that are beneath the land. So again, biggest benefit being that you can find the preferred or optimal pieces of land before other people, and you can claim the best land in the game at what will be the lowest cost, because we anticipate costs of all of this land going up over time.
Nice. That's a good tip. So guys, we should look at the map when it comes out. Is the game going to have any eSports kind of orientation? Are you looking towards that?
Yeah, we actually are, and we think that there's a number of potential modules that we could create. And when I say modules, it's again, we're kind of developing out the game in an iterative fashion as well, so we don't end up in a situation like Star Citizen, or say Cyberpunk, that was under development for 7 years, and the community pushed and pushed and pushed for them to get the game out, and then it wasn't this like finished final product that polished final product that everybody wanted. What we're doing is we're just going to be launching small experiences, right? And over time, they will all be interconnected, and will be this more robust, grand strategy space exploration game. But a game of AAA quality typically would take 5 to 7 years to develop out. We think we can do it a little bit faster, but beyond that, we're also just delivering gameplay experiences that we think will be entertaining. So this could be in the form of like a pod racing module where you can actually go and race on a planet and compete against other players. And what's really cool about something like that is it kind of provides this dynamic wherein third-party developers, again, benefit of building in decentralized ecosystems. Third-party developers even implement a gambling book, right? So people can actually bet on these races if they want to. It won't come through us, but if somebody is creative enough, they can create this bookie service and create bets on races that take place within Star Atlas. When you're racing like a Pierce X4 or an Opel Jet or anything of the same class. But the other thing we could do is like a battle arena, so people can PvP in teams out in space with lower consequences than if they were to be out in, say, deep space, high risk zone where it's playing for keys and it's permanent loss if you die out there. So we'll be introducing experiences like this, and I think those experiences will lend to esports categories. And then kind of the final point I'll make here is that we had a conversation with Cal Poly Technical, their game development club, and their economic club, and I think their finance club. It was a great turnout. We had something like 50 or 60 students on the call, and we're currently looking into opportunities to kind of sponsor collegiate esports and start to develop teams around Star Atlas early. And as soon as we get the experiences available that we think would be entertaining to watch, then we'll be putting more effort into those collegiate teams, because it's kind of perfect demographic for us. The minds are still open in youth, and we'd love to get them exposed to these new gameplay mechanics and financial mechanics that just don't exist currently.
Yeah, the combination, this gamification of finance is very, very exciting. So the tweet that you guys released a couple of hours ago about the legendary track that's one of the toughest in the galaxy is a real thing. This is a part of the game where people race.
Alpha leak, you guys are hearing it here first.
Nice. Amazing. I look forward. So someone can create a book and actually make these bets happen, and it will be happening on chain. Everything is going to be transparent. But can anybody just open a Radium bank, for example, and charge people for staking their assets? Just a random example here with Radium bank. But can you bring these kind of things into the game, maybe in the future?
I'm not familiar with that concept. You said Radium Bank, like
it like
Radium?
Yeah, like Radium on Solana. Like I go there and I have staking pools, and I can go stake my assets in game.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we're already seeing the power of decentralization through the site Dex Labs. You guys are poster holders, so maybe you're participating on that site, but it's an NFT marketplace, and people are already going and they're taking their Star Atlas posters and listing them and exchanging them on Dex Lab, right? So because these assets all live on chain, and because a lot of the game logic is going to live on chain, then there's provable fairness that can be introduced to various betting mechanics, and there's no place for us to place restrictions around what people do with those assets, nor do we want to. It's behavior that we want to encourage. And so yes, in theory, any activity related to Star Atlas that can be demonstrated as provably fair could create some new opportunity for some external developer to create a business model around.
Guys, this is the real metaverse. For the people that don't understand, the metaverse is exactly what Micheal is describing. It's a world where you can live in, you can earn, you can be happy, you can make friends, you can hang out, you can go to concerts, and this is Star Atlas looks like it's ticking all those boxes.
I love that you say that, and I think that I think that without blockchain as kind of the fundamental layer building block upon which we are building, without blockchain in place, I don't think you can create a true open to the world metaverse, right? So I think we need the fungibility of money that exists through cryptocurrencies, the ability for these assets to transcend game environments and even metaverse environments. It could be multi-metaverse model. We don't know what's going to happen in the future, but without that kind of like decentralized underlying layer, I just don't think you could get a true economy, true decentralization, true free ownership of assets, and in a truly free metaverse model. No single entity should control the metaverse. That's kind of where you see like the dystopian future, Ready Player One with Oasis. That's not the model that we want to go for. What the model we're going for is kind of creating this as an idea, as a concept, bringing it to the world to the best of our ability, and then it becomes ownership of the global population. And at that point, anybody can contribute and direct kind of the future of what Star Atlas becomes. But, again, I'm thinking extremely long term here, 15, 20 years down the line. But the Star Atlas metaverse should live on into perpetuity if we do it right through like adaptation and evolutionary process.
Yeah, it should, of course. And since you're going to actually give the opportunity to the players to vote you out or bring someone else inside the game to develop, that's definitely can prolong the game for forever. Yeah.
Can you imagine, you owning some of the original land from Star Atlas and actually passing it down to your kids like a virtual asset, that you're passing down through generations who knows, if in 60 or 70 years, a grandchild gets to inherit a piece of land that was in Star Atlas that started at $10 and, who knows, maybe that piece of land is worth millions of dollars at some point in the future. And I'm not trying to hype the potential here because keep in mind I'm saying like 70 years down the line, but like the potential for that to exist is there, and I think that that's really incredible.
I mean, it is a wild thought, but not so wild when you've seen what's called Second Life and the Linden dollars and all these weird games tied to corporations that actually made people millions.
It did, for sure. Entropia is a great example, by the way. Entropia has a kind of a similar economic model to us, with the exception of they manage the kind of inflow and outflow of capital in a more centralized fashion. They kind of act as the central bank, and they have a peg on their currency that they maintain that allows people to get USD or whatever their national and domestic currency is, but get your fiat into the game at a fixed exchange rate and back out at a fixed exchange rate. We're not managing it in that fashion at all. We're letting kind of the decentralized economics work for itself. But yeah, I don't know. I love the idea of passing down virtual assets through inheritance over time. I think it's really cool.
And which you expect to have some kind of social impact. This game is going to change a little bit the way the social interactions are perceived as normal.
Unquestionably. I mean, because the game is also going to be quite realistic. I don't know if I'll say hyper realistic, but because of the graphical fidelity capabilities and the graphical kind of efficiencies that are created in processing through technology like Nanite with UE5, you're going to get this cinematic quality gameplay with us. And so, we're also already like monitoring kind of the latest advances in virtual reality technology, and man, some of the stuff that's coming out is so cool. It's like going to feel like you're literally there, and it's I was just speaking with Pablo about this yesterday. Actually, we were watching this video of a VR company, and they're essentially able to replicate or kind of render in real time real world environments, and then that can be replicated onto some opposing users headset. So I could be walking around my house right now with my VR headset on. It's capturing everything that's going on around me, and then it's relaying that over to you, and you could feel like you're sitting in my living room and chatting with me, right?
Yeah, that's insane. That's like this is from space, like something that soon it's going to be everyday life. But for me at the moment, despite having a supercomputer and played every game that is out there, yeah, to me that sounds advanced.
The future is going to be so wild. So I mean, the point is that we talk a lot about kind of entering into the metaverse, which feels like you're leaving reality. It feels like you're leaving meat space, but we're actually thinking that in the future it might be the opposite. It's that the metaverse simply becomes a virtual overlay to our real world environment, right? And so it's less of escapism. It's less of us leaving Earth and going into Star Atlas metaverse. It's going to be more of Star Atlas just sits on top of our everyday life, and we can enter into that space when we want to through virtual reality experiences. But it's I mean, this stuff is all super future thinking as well, and just really amazing to consider. But Yeah,
I
it's
mean,
the
it's a
future.
wild idea. What you came up with is just insane. Who came up with the idea? Who conceptualized that? Can you take me back to that day? Like, hey, let's make a game that it's going to take over our lives. You'll be able to live there, and it's going to be on the blockchain. When did you come up with that?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of hate to take credit for anything. So the team that is co-founding team on Star Atlas, two of the other members, Danny Floyd and Jacob Floyd, who are brothers and are chief product officer and chief technology officer respectively, had been working with me for 3 years at Multi-Chain Ventures, which I co-founded and was CEO and still am. Um, um, I kind of was just monitoring what was going on and tracking a lot of what was going on in DeFi and then NFTs and seeing some of the progress in NFT or blockchain based gaming. And so, I kind of came to the table with those guys and just started riffing some ideas on, how we would integrate or implement blockchain mechanics and financial incentives into a higher quality game. So I kind of came to the table with the economic input. Danny was really pivotal in creating the space theme concept itself. He's gone through, and a lot of the white paper is his work. The gameplay pillars, the gameplay mechanics, the general game, the general theme was his. I did come up with the name Star Atlas, and it has kind of multiple meanings. I like to integrate kind of double entendre into the naming of companies, such as Tokes platform being this crypto cannabis company, representing smoking, which is taking a toke, as well as utilizing tokens as a form of payment. But nevertheless, it's really a combination of some really bright minds all working together, and so this was all back in, call it mid 2020, maybe third quarter 2020. So it's all moved forward extremely quickly. It's just amazing to see it materialize.
It is a wild idea, nevertheless, and you've been guys so successful so far. I'm amazed. I have two questions about your two tokens, Polis and Atlas. Polis being the governance token, and Atlas being your in-game gold. Are both of them transferable outside? Can I get them out? Can I make an exchange in the outside world and trade them?
Absolutely. They're both crypto native assets. They'll be SPL tokens on the Solana blockchain. So not only are they exchangeable on any of the DeFi technology and protocols that exist on Solana, but in the very near future, through protocols like Wormhole, you'll be able to bridge these assets over to Ethereum. You'll be able to bridge to Terra. You'll be able to bridge to virtually any one of these other networks if you want to operate on those networks. Now, our game is only going to be supporting logic on Solana, but the assets can transcend and be bridged over to other layer one protocols as well.
That is the same true for the NFTs. Can I pass my SPL NFT through the wormhole and sell it on OpenSeas?
Don't do it right now, because that's I think we still have a few people that have encountered an issue with that asset getting stuck. If you are in that category, and I'm speaking to anyone out there in the audience, if you're in the category where you tried to use Wormhole to send your NFT and it's currently stuck, fear not. We will be helping you resolve that issue before we do any snapshot distribution, any bonuses, any of the any of the rewards through loot boxes that we're going to be distributing. We'll make sure that your problems are resolved before we do that. But I would not use Wormhole just yet. It's still kind of in early alpha, but and it's not a protocol that we're really focused on developing out. We're allowing that decentralized community to build that, and the team at Solana is focused on it quite a bit. So we'll make sure we let you know when that capability does exist. And yes, the idea is you'd be able to bridge back and forth between Ethereum and Solana. You could go, take advantage of arbitrage opportunities on OpenSea. But I think for the time being, I would advise against using Wormhole with any of the NFT assets.
I see. That's a good tip, because I know a couple of people were thinking of that. Just because they saw a couple of discovery of Iris living in OpenSeas. I know you guys had some official posters drop there. but these did not pass through the wormhole. They were created for the Ethereum.
That's right. Yeah, we issued assets on OpenSea for the first maybe five posters, I think 5 or 6 posters. But the majority of our sales, we're constantly looking at quantifiable metrics, and 99% of all of our sales took place through our own marketplace. Even those early poster sales, we wanted to enable access to as many people as possible, which is why we listed them on OpenSea in the first place. But having reviewed where the sales took place, we saw no reason to continue supporting a launch on Ethereum, because most of our users were comfortable with navigating the Solana ecosystem, which again is really impressive for the community, given how new Solana was to everybody, especially when we just launched. Not many people had assets on Solana, or were familiar with how it worked, and so we're happy that guys like Santi in our community, I think Sohail I see out there in the audience, and a number of other great community managers that we have were out there shepherding and guiding people through the process to ensure that they could figure out how to get access to these posters.
Yeah, your community is amazing, and they helped us so much set up this AMA, and helped us with the questions. Everybody, like, I need to give a shout out to Prometheus for giving us like 2 or 3 questions that were really amazing. I could not ignore them. A last very important question that comes from the Grape community, because we have a community. I don't know if you know it, but we have a protocol that develops token gates. And our most popular gate in our server has the fewest people, though. It is the Star Atlas gate. It is the Altesian Cantina. And we have 63 people in there that are, all 63 are key members of our community. They are the highest quality members we have in our community, are the Star Atlas poster holders. It's really amazing. And the AMA idea came from that channel, to be honest.
Man, I love that. That is awesome. So, again, we are extremely grateful just for the support of the community, the enthusiasm, the excitement. It's definitely a motivator. It's a driving force. It's what keeps us working 20-hour days, 18-hour days. We are grinding as hard as we can right now to produce for everyone out there, and we know people are super excited to play. We're super excited to play too. Trust me, I haven't even played a video game in a year and a half, and I can't wait for us to get Star Atlas out so I can start playing, and start getting my early edge. We love the support, the community love all of the encouragement that we get and all the positive feedback we get, and even the negative criticism that we get. We listen to that as well, and we just try to incorporate that into our growing process. And just sincere gratitude and thanks from me and the whole team for all the support out there in the community.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for really taking the time, and congratulations for all the amazing things you've been pushing out. And you came into Solana early. You've been doing this for quite some time. We just participated in the latest hackathon, so we're a newer kind. But you've laid the foundation for this. So congratulations, and we are so looking forward on playing the game. You're gonna hear from us again. You're gonna see the Grape clan in game. Hopefully we're gonna continue making noise and being the best.
I love it, man. Thank you so much. Really great to be here, and look forward to connecting with you again in the near future.
And thank you to all the viewers. We are over 200 people listening to us live through the various platforms, only 108 on Discord, and I know a couple of people are streaming it to their friends. So I'm so thankful for the engagement, guys. You make all of this happen. So super thank you. And be on the Star Atlas server, follow them on Twitter. You shouldn't miss any of the news. You shouldn't miss any of the new mini game that is launching. It's not going to be some from what I understand, it's going to be a 3D game. It's going to demonstrate what you're building, kind of. It's not a small task.
Yeah, and maybe just as a final comment on that, the first thing we're rolling out will be a ship mission module with ship configuration. So you're going to be able to customize your loadout with different modules, with different crew members, different components. That will determine your specialization. Whether you want to be more attack oriented or defense oriented, or it'll also cater to various professions such as data runner or cargo hauler or just attack vessel. But that's kind of the first part. The next two modules that will be coming out after that, kind of on a monthly basis, is the projected roadmap. But again, don't hold me to that. Is the land ownership and mining functions, mining gameplay loop, where you'll be building out your mining facility. You can upgrade that over time. You can take over surrounding land area, continue to scale your assets, generate more material, which is a greater return for you, and also being able to extract rarer minerals from the planet or the land that you occupy, and then also a space station configuration gameplay loop where you're able to expand out various decks. And those decks all have new feature capabilities for you as a player. So you say like adding a refinery to your space station allows you to more rapidly refine the ore that you extract from the planet. And these space stations also have functions that allow you to monetize other players' activity within your space station. So if you set up a hangar bay on your space station, other players can come park there. They'll pay you a fee to park there. Maybe you have a refueling deck and they use your refueling deck to refuel their ship. You get a percentage of all of the proceeds from that. So, the idea is to really drive value to the players, but those are the next things that are coming out: ship missions, land development, and space station configuration. That's kind of the extent of the mini game, but concurrently we're already undertaking full production efforts on the Unreal Engine version of the game, and again that's kind of mid to Q3 next year. We're hoping to have something out for you all.
Micheal, thank you so much. Thank you so much. We are all looking forward, and I hope we're gonna talk again in the near future. We'll be joining your community, and again, thank you for dedicating the time.
Thank you. This was fantastic. I love the questions. I really love the dialogue with you. So I'll absolutely come back and join you again, and really appreciate the opportunity to be here with you.